Today, I wanted to talk to you about how to make time for a plant-based diet and not feel overwhelmed. I have absolutely been there. When I switched to a plant-based diet 13 years ago, the first night I stayed up till 1 a.m. trying to figure out what to do. Well, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Lori Marbus. I am a board-certified family and lifestyle medicine physician. I have seen patients who eat a plant-based diet across the nation. I am licensed in all 50 states, including DC. So I feel like I'm in a really unique place because I've talked to thousands of people who eat a plant-based diet, their struggles, their wins, seen labs, and just doing it myself. This journey has been amazing, but there absolutely can be some struggles. But with a little bit of knowledge, you can absolutely see things shift for your help or shift in your favor. So if you haven't, please click the subscribe button or wherever it is somewhere on here. And I'd be so excited to have you as part of the community. By the way, 2 links below in the description. It's all about the Healing Kitchen, which I'll talk about here in a minute. It's a community where I run with Brittany Giroudi. We meet weekly. And our new Plant-Based 101 book, it is coming out January 1st with a print edition. So be on the lookout. The link for the print edition won't be available to January 1st, but you can pre-order the Kindle should you like to do that. We'd so appreciate your support. So now diving right in. So first of all, we understand that switching to the plant-based diet is I would say that one of the most rewarding lifestyle changes you can make for your health and for the planet, for animals, and even for your wallet. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, really making time for prepping, cooking, and planning meals can feel literally overwhelming, right? So especially if you're juggling a busy schedule, you're raising a family, you've got more than one person, and maybe they don't want to eat plant-based. Oh my goodness, it can be crazy. So as a plant-based doc, I have seen this challenge come time and time again. So people will often start with enthusiasm, they're feeling amazing, and only to get crushed by the effort that they think it takes. But here's the truth. It really doesn't have to be that hard. So with just a few practical tweaks in a mindset shift, you can absolutely make plant-based eating fit seamlessly into your life. So we're going to dive into those strategies. And I will tell you, it's so important that you just think of this. These are just little tweaks. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. So I'm going to go through, let me look at my list, 9 different things that you can do to make it easier for you. Number 1 is embrace the magic of batch cooking. Yes. So if there's one habit that you can transform the way you eat, it is absolutely batch cooking. The idea is super simple. So you set aside a couple of hours once a week or twice a week to prep meals or meal components in advance. And that's the difference to think about, is prep the whole meal or meal components. So let's think about roasted vegetables, a pot of grains like rice, quinoa, or farro, and a few protein-rich staples like lentils or chickpeas, okay? You can even prepare a large batch of soup, stew, or chili, and you can portion it out for those quick lunches or dinners. And when you have these components ready to go, it becomes super easy to throw them together in a meal in a minute. So let's say a grain bowl is topped with roasted veggies and hummus and a handful of greens. Done. Tacos with pre-cooked lentils, avocado, and salsa. You're done in under 10 minutes. So another quick one that I love is taking a can of black beans and a jar of salsa. You put it in a pot, you stir it up, warm it up, and you have bean soup. Oh my goodness, it was life-altering thinking about things differently. So check that out. And for myself, and there's only 2 of us now, when we switched to a plant-based diet, there were 5 of us in the house. So what I did was I just kind of got in a habit of batch cooking stuff on Sunday and Wednesday. And I still do that to some degree. It's a little bit easier now with just the 2 of us in the house, since all the adults, those children grew up and flew the coop. And so, so we're having fun, smaller meals. That took some adjusting from, feeding growing teenagers to just 2 of us. And so that definitely could help. So you might want to pick a couple of days in advance and think about pre-cooking or pre-making different sauces. Those can really make, like, let's say if you have chickpea and rice, you could put maybe a more Indian flavor, or you could also make it more Mediterranean. So again, just depending on the flavor profile you're looking at, the sauce could take care of it and you still have the same base components. That was a life changer for me. Number 2 is stock your pantry and freezer like a pro. Okay, so a well-stocked kitchen is your absolute secret weapon for fast plant-based meals. I still do that now, and I'm traveling full-time in an RV. So here's what you should always have on hand. Pantry staples include canned or dried beans. I have canned in here. Lentils, I have lentils in my cupboard. Chickpeas, I have chickpeas. Nut butters, I got nut butters. Whole grain pasta, we just had our last box. I have rice, yes. Quinoa, check. Oats, check. I don't have canned tomatoes, but I have since we've been in this RV. And spices, all my favorite spices, check. Freezer essentials, frozen vegetables, check. That includes, let's say, broccoli, spinach, peas, mixed veggies. I've even got some frozen cauliflower rice in there. Frozen fruit for smoothies, which I have every morning. I have frozen wild blueberries, cherries, and pineapple. And then you have your whole grain bread or wraps literally in my fridge too, because I found that in the more humid climates that they might mold, so I keep them in the fridge. Those are literally everything that I just mentioned I have on hand, except the canned tomatoes, but I have had since. So really just thinking about having those staples really eliminates the need for last minute grocery runs and allows you to create meals literally with minimal effort. So the canned beans and frozen veggies, for example, can turn into a stir fry or soup in no time. One other thing that I always keep on hand is tempeh. And typically I like the one that's called the fake and bacon. All it is, it's tempeh that's been marinated. Pretty clean product. Another one is really extra firm tofu. Chop up some tofu. I might steam it, or I might lightly roast it at a low temp and throw that into any type of stir fry. You could crumble it and make it into a soup. I've had soy curls as well. Those, you just rehydrate them. They're just a soybean, and those are fantastic. You can crumble them, make it more of a meaty texture, and those are fabulous. High protein, very good for you. They're whole plant foods. So definitely think about what's in your pantry. And then, having a checklist, a running checklist, like you can have it on your fridge or a countertop, wherever you might be, of, your last soy milk, write it out, right? Put it on the list. So then you don't have to go back through and say, oh, what am I missing? What do I need? That'll save you a whole lot of time. So the next time you plan on going to the grocery store, you already have it. And just a little side note, when you do make it to the grocery store, one thing that works really well, because sometimes people are really tired and, they haven't eaten, and they go to the grocery store and they're seeing all these things, these ultra processed foods calling to them, pulling them in, wanting you to eat them. Grab an apple or a banana or some type of fruit on your way to the grocery store. And what they found is, an interesting study, they actually study this stuff, that if you eat something healthy before you walk into the grocery store, you make 40% of your decisions are healthier. I mean, you walk out with healthier food just by literally, it's almost like a prompt, right? Like you're eating this healthy food and your mind's going, oh, okay, you want to eat healthy. I'm going to focus on that. You got to trick our brain. We have caveman brains. So I figure we got to do everything we can to make them work for us in this crazy environment that we're living in now. All right, off to next. Let me try again. Number 3, let the kitchen gadgets do the heavy lifting. Really important. I have limited space, but there's a couple of gadgets I couldn't live without. So I'm going to tell you my thoughts, and then I'll share ones I have. Said literally one of them that we couldn't buy the RV if it couldn't handle this particular one. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. And kitchen tools, again, can just save you tons of time and energy. So here are a few that I think you would be worth investing in. 1, an Instapot. Now that would be good for cooking beans, grains, soups, and stews really quickly with minimal attention. I haven't really mastered the Instapot. My daughter loves it, and I think I just have this weird thing with the steam. I'm sure it's fabulous. I have patients who love it. Lots of people say I should try it. I just haven't wrapped my arm around it yet. And so far, 13 years in, it's been okay. A slow cooker. Now, we absolutely used a slow cooker when we had a house and we had more space to put it on the countertop. You just literally throw in ingredients before work. You come home and the meal is ready. I did that so many times while I was, driving to work and back. Next is the high-speed blender. And this is the one that I'm telling you that I couldn't have the RV. Like, I literally said this. I'm not kidding, guys. If I can't buy this RV if you can't take my Vitamix with me. And so there's also the Blend Tech. I had some people choose those over the Vitamix. Vitamix was my first one that I had 13 years ago. I'm not leaving it. It's fabulous. And that was one of the main gifts that we give to each child as they're moving on to the world. I'm like, you have to have a Vitamix. And they've used it and they've loved it. So it's great for smoothies, soups, sauces, and plant-based things like hummus or cashew cheese. I've made all sorts of stuff in that thing. And next is a food processor. You can actually make smaller ones. I haven't invested in a smaller one yet. I haven't found that I really need it. I tend to be lazy and buy like cabbage already sliced or broccoli slaw or the cauliflower rice because I have limited space in my fridge as well. So those tend to collapse and make more room. So when I'm living in this space, I'm willing to spend a little bit more money to save time and space. But a food processor, absolutely used many times. It can chop, shred, or slice veggies literally in seconds. And I do believe there's a Vitamix line, I can't remember off the top of my head, that actually has a food processor with the actual mixer, the blender, and you just change components, but it's using the same motor. So worth looking into. It's worth the one-time investment. They'll last forever. I think they have lifetime warranties. I haven't had to utilize mine yet, so definitely want to check that out. Granted, I'm telling you, these are sanity savers. These, more than just convenience, these are sanity savers. Like, I don't even know if I could live without a Vitamix. I mean, these are first world problems, I guess, but for sure, I love my Vitamix. I just don't know, honestly. Do I recall life before my Vitamix? I don't think so. It's like when I was, I think, 7 or 8, we got our first microwave. Was there a life before microwaves? I don't know. Number 4, plan but stay flexible. So now we're going to start moving in towards kind of mindset a little bit. So meal planning doesn't mean you have to know every single meal you'll eat for the next 7 days, okay? Instead, kind of have a rough idea of a few go-to meals that you want to make during the next week. Just remember, you might have tacos one night, pasta dish another, or a hearty salad for lunch. Just use those ideas to kind of guide your grocery list, but leave room for flexibility, because when you may find that fresh asparagus are on sale and suddenly crave a stir fry. Really, you just got to be a little bit flexible. But with the right staples at home, like we talked about with your, excuse me, when you are batch cooking, that can really help you adapt easily without kind of derailing your plans. Number 5 is use the pre-made and convenience options. Okay, there's literally no shame in relying on pre-made options to save time. So this can be the pre-washed greens. This is what I have. Pre-cut vegetables, canned soups. I have found that I don't particularly rely too much on canned soups because I don't think they taste as good as the kind that you make. They're super easy to make as well, and they usually have a lot of extra sodium that I don't want. Or you can do plant-based frozen meals, can be lifesavers. One of my favorite brands is Plant Strong. These are super clean, whole nutrient food. You can order them, you can pick them up like at Whole Foods. There may be other places that they are as well. I know Forks Over Knives also has frozen meals in the freezer section. Some of the other ones I like is Just Veg, or is it Actual Veggies? That's like veggie burgers. They're just vegetables. And there's a few other products, like I mentioned, the soy curls that I like, of course, canned beans. These are things that, again, you just decide what you're willing to do and not willing to do. But if time is of the essence and you're really determined to eat well, it's okay to buy those pre-chopped if you are willing to invest the extra money for it. So that is what I've chosen to do because my time is more limited, and I'm willing to put that money into it because I know I feel good when I eat well, and I don't want my tired brain to tell me someday, Laura, you don't need to eat that. You need to go, eat something less healthy, or go out to eat and spend way more money and not feel well and then regret the whole evening. So I'm just saying, trust me, I've walked down this path. Number 6, focus on simplicity, but not perfection. I don't know how many times I tell myself, Kiss, keep it simple, Sam, sweetie, there you go. A plant-based diet, it doesn't have to be complicated, guys. So you're not auditioning for a cooking show. Your fridge is your friend. The kitchen is just a laboratory for failures and wins. Just think of it that way. Simple meals can be just as satisfying and nutritious as your elaborate ones. For example, breakfast could be oats with almond butter, banana, and chia seeds. Lunch could be a big salad with greens, canned chickpeas, roasted sweet potatoes, and tahini dressing. Dinner could be stir-fried veggies, tofu, and a quick peanut sauce over brown rice. That is honestly one of my favorite dishes. Plus, even if you don't want to make the peanut sauce, check out Plant Strong and their peanut powder. You just literally add water. You let it sit for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, and it's amazing. I'm addicted to this stuff. Plant Strong for the win. All right, and remember what I mentioned before. The importance is consistency, not perfection. And some days you'll have time to cook something exciting. Other days, maybe let's have avocado toast or a bowl of, I don't know, oatmeal. I've done that more than once. A lot more than once, but that's okay. Okay, the other thing, number 7, is start small and build gradually. So if the idea of overhauling your entire diet feels overwhelming, trust me, I know how, because that's what we did. You want to start small. So maybe you start with one plant-based meal a day, or maybe you dedicate meatless Mondays to experimenting with recipes. As you get more comfortable, you can add more plant-based meals through your week. But it's also, just remember, this needs to be enjoyable, not a chore. Another way I know some patients have done this is they will do an entire week of just breakfasts. The next week they do breakfast, lunch, and then the third week they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's another way to approach this. Lots of different ways. There's no right or wrong way. But I would say try to give yourself 30 days. If you're wanting to go full on whole food plant-based, give yourself like a deadline, right? You don't want to just drag out this over 5 years. Try to like maybe 30 days to really understand, get yourself going, get some good recipes. But do give yourself kind of that final quit date for any of the animal products. And number 8 is involve your household. I do miss the children because they had amazing chopping skills, but it took years to hone that skill in them. I hope they appreciate them. 2 of my children are married, so I hope their spouses appreciate that as well. So cooking and eating plant-based becomes so much easier when everybody is willing to be on board. And I know some of you are not in that situation, but maybe they can at least help you chop some of the things that they're going to also be consuming, or maybe they can cook the food that they're wanting so you're not feeling like you have to cook for everybody. Again, I understand there's some challenges here. I'm just throwing out some ideas. But if you can get your family or roommates involved, let them pick recipes, right? Help with prepping or brainstorm your like quick meal ideas. When everyone works together, the process feels so less like a solo effort and more like a shared experience. You remember, many hands really just make it such a light work. There's a saying here, but I can't remember at the top of my head because I got distracted by what I was about to tell you next. Anyway, just understand, even little kids can become involved in the kitchen. So let's say you have a 4 or 5-year-old. They can set the table. They can help wash maybe some of the veggies. They can, put them on like a little apron and put them as the director and say, hey, if it's, something they can mix, stir stuff up. If you're making something like a bread and they can squish the dough, all sorts of stuff they can do. But get them involved early. And if you get them involved in the shopping as well and let them pick out some veggies or some fruits that maybe they've never tried before, that will go a long way in curating curiosity so they're willing to try these different foods. And they say on average about 15 to 18 flavor tries will actually incorporate that taste into a person's palate, including adults. So if you got a little bit of a picky eater, that might be a great introduction, is get them interested in, it's like, hey, you did this. This is amazing. Do you want to try it? And just even if they just lick it, that will start, right? That's how you start. And I will tell you, my kids aren't picky. One, I had 2 rules. You eat what's in front of you. I'm not a short order cook. And 2 is you'll be hungry the next meal. And so I wasn't worried about them not eating because I understood their stomachs would eventually catch up with them. But I also tried to incorporate at least one part of the meal as something that they would like. Granted, it was plant-based, but that was one way I did it. And we transitioned over when my kids were 13, 15, and 18. So they were teenagers. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yes, it was very interesting. Number 9, give yourself grace, right? So lastly, remember it's okay to stumble. I promise. Life gets busy, and some weeks are going to be more chaotic than others, like these holidays. But don't let the occasional frozen pizza or a takeout night derail your long term goals. Progress is what matters. So, just from my perspective as a plant based doctor, I've learned that the biggest barrier to success is the belief that it's too hard or too time consuming. Once people realize you don't need to spend hours in the kitchen every single day, and that even small steps really make a big difference, they start to feel empowered, they're building confidence, and then just with a little bit of planning and your stocked kitchen, and willingness to experiment and being okay with, failures, anyone can make time for a plant-based diet. So the key takeaway, guys, remember, you don't have to sacrifice your time or sanity to eat plant-based. Just start where you are, make some small adjustments, and watch how it transforms your life without overwhelm. I promise you will be so glad you did on the other end. And just another reminder, if you are looking for a community that will support you in this journey and be able to ask a seasoned plant-based doctor questions live every single week, well, the Healing Kitchen is your place. It's run by myself and Brittany Drudy, who lost 70 pounds on the plant-based diet and has kept it off for 8 years, just had her first plant-based pregnancy, cute little baby. And so definitely worth checking out. The link is below. We have a community that you are open 24/7. You can post your wins, your questions. You can share recipes. We have a course that's coming out at the end of the month, and the price will be going up next month. And we just would love for you to join our community. It's a really fun place. And check out also, we also do workshops every month where I do a deep dive into a topic and provide an ebook with that. You have all the past recordings. There's nothing like it out there that I'm aware of, that you have a doctor and a chef working together every single week. And we've been doing this now for over 1.5 years. So we'd just love to have you there. I mean, who else can you ask? Someone who knows how to cook food in the kitchen and someone who understands your medical concerns or other things that you might need to be looking at too. It is a pair made in heaven. Next is we wrote a book. We wrote our first one. It's called Plant-Based 101. It's the ultimate guide to mastering the plant-based diet. We took our knowledge, try to pare it down for a book, giving you the starting primer for a really strong foundation on a plant-based diet. Check out the link below. Again, Kindle link is only available right now. The physical book will be available on January 1st as well. And we just got some of the galleys, and it's really exciting, guys. So check it out below. We so appreciate your time and support. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope you found this helpful. Would love to hear your comments. Please share this, like, subscribe, do all that stuff that you're supposed to do on a channel. I know I'm just a doctor. I'm just trying to share the knowledge. But thanks again, as always, sending love, joy, peace, and healing your way, and have a beautiful rest of your day and week. Have a good one.